Good morning. My name is Susie Sharp, and I would like to share with you this morning some techniques and some mind management models which are designed to help you deal with incoming stress, or in other words, just how do you keep calm and carry on. A little bit about me first. I have been running key change training consultancy for the past 22, almost 23 years. I've clocked up 10,000 hours of career, life and business coaching. And as you can see, I've worked with a lot of different businesses right the way across the spectrum, from working with the long-term unemployed, with ex-offenders and offenders, through to all sorts of government institutions and unions, right the way through to universities. I've also worked with many corporates, as you can see, the brands that I've worked with, and global brands where I've worked all the way across Europe. Now, the coaching that I do at the moment, time and time again, the same question is coming up always. How do I deal with what's going on around me? How am I going to manage the future when I don't know what it is? But once again, it's actually learning to deal with it and learning how to keep calm and carry on. Now, this was brought into being by the Ministry of Information in 1939. Now, literally, it was to boost morale within the wartime effort, and it was a clear message of sober restraint in troubled times. The silent generation, those born pre-1945, took it upon themselves to literally, no matter what was going on around them, they kept it to themselves, and they did their damnedest to keep calm and carry on. So it's to do with a situation where no matter what's going on around you, you can't change it. Things are happening that you have no control over. The only thing that you can manage is your response to it. The only thing that you can really know how to deal with it, is by dealing with it the best you possibly can. Now, this actually came up again in the year 2008. It had gone quiet, but in 2008, there was the credit crunch and the financial services industry went into meltdown. And once again, there was nothing anybody could do about it. So this became, once again, very, very popular. All over mugs and tea towels and posters. You could always get, wherever you went, there was something telling you to keep calm and carry on. And of course, it couldn't be more helpful than the situation we find ourselves in now. Once again, there's nothing we can do about this situation. There's nothing we can do to change things. The incoming stressors are going to carry on being the same as they are. The only thing we can do is manage ourselves better. So, start looking at the difference between anxiety and stress. They're two very, very different things. So first of all, we look at stress. Now, in modern day language, we have actually decided that I suffer from stress. I am stressed. It's as if stress is on the inside of you, but it's actually not like that. When you're looking at the what stress really means, it's from the outside. It's in your outside world. It's literally coming in to you. It is stressors that are incoming. Now, why is it that some people, they might have the same amount of stress as others, but some people, when they're under stress, they literally step up to the bar. They deal with everything with calm and with organized capability. Whereas other people, they feel incredibly anxious. Everything becomes very, very blurred, and they'll either just about thrive, just about survive on it, or they might even fold. Now, that's because of the perception of the individual to stress. The incoming stressors, it depends on how you see it and how you feel you've programmed yourself through the whole of your life to either think I'm an anxious person, I worry a lot, or I can deal with everything, bring it on. And it's absolutely a choice. So looking at anxiety, it's in your inner world. Stress is your outer world. Anxiety is in your inner world. Anxiety is the way you deal with those incoming stressors. it's all going on the inside, and you're creating either a really calm inner world, or you're creating an anxious inner world. But it depends on your programming, and it depends on how you see yourself and how you recognize incoming stress. Let's show you a classic moment of stress that we've all had an experience of in the past. Okay, we have the examination hall. Now, some of you may have actually experienced this kind of classic moment of stress a lot closer than others of us, but it's always the same. Imagine that you're looking up at a great clock on the wall, and the clock on the wall is saying 9 o'clock. And just as it clicks over to 9 o'clock, somebody at the front of the room says, "You may now turn over your paper." How do you feel at that moment, turning over that paper? What is that moment like? You might feel that your heartbeat has increased. You might feel butterflies in your stomach, or worst case scenario, you might feel a bit sick. You might feel heat rising. You might even have a slight tremor. Now, what is that? You are having an incoming stressor, which is the exam, and you are feeling fear as a response. Activator is the examination. Fear is your response. Now, why fear? Why do we feel fear in the face of an examination? I'll explain that in a moment. Now, let's take another scenario, okay? You've really, really loved the topic. You have really enjoyed every single moment of the learning, and you've done really well in all of your assignments. You found it an absolute pleasure to cram this exam. And at the same moment where somebody says, "You may now turn over the paper," what once again is the physiological responses that you're having to it? Once again, you might feel your heart rate increase. You might feel your breathing become more shallow. You might find that you've got those butterflies in your stomach. You might even feel that slight tremor or the heat rising. But that's because you're feeling excitement. Excitement and fear are both different sides of the same coin. But the difference was, it was your perception of the incoming stressor. When you were seeing it as something that was really scary, and something that was going to test you to your limits, and something that you didn't know how you were going to deal with. It might have been in a different language for all you knew. What if any of those topics you'd never even heard of? That was the fear response, because you were perceiving as big bad thing. But if you had perceived it as being a pleasure, a joy, you were looking forward to it. It was your perception of the situation that gave you a completely different response to that incoming stress. The three brains. Now, this is a very, very simplified model of the three different brains that we all have within our physiology. First of all, we have the reptile brain. Now, the reptile brain is literally about survival. When you consider a reptile, literally all they're going to be doing is they're going to be fight or flight. They're going to be staying to actually fight and overcome any incoming stressors, or they're going to run away. And the only thing they do is it's all about survival. Even with their young, they will lay the eggs and go, "Okay, Junior, that's it, I'm out of here. You've got to survive on your own." So that is your brain stem. Now, the second part of the brain to evolve is this part here. Now, this is your mammalian brain. Now, this part of the brain evolved when we started to look after our young, when mammals started to suckle their young and to protect them from incoming stress, from incoming danger. And once again, it was helping the clan survive. It's pure emotion. It's that absolute emotion that keeps us together, that causes us to make friendships. And when you have an emotional system that consists purely of survival, which is what both of them are, any incoming stress is going to have that emotional response. It'll have a limbic response before you have time to even think about it, because it's very, very fast. Now, the final part of the brain to evolve That's your the cerebral cortex. And this is your human logical thinking brain. This is the part of the brain that reasons, it problem solves, it works things through. But we still, at the heart of it, at the heart of everything that is dealing with any incoming activators, we still have that very deeply emotional limbic system and that survival brainstem, which is why sometimes we have an emotional response to something that we have no idea where it came from. But our emotions are far, far quicker than our thought processes. Now, Professor Steve Peters, amazing guy, he took scientific principles and made them incredibly useful. Now, he took as a pilot, almost like a pilot group of people to work his new mind management model on, and it was on the lead up to the 2012 Olympics. He took Team GB and he coached them in his own methods. Now, Team GB consisted of the cycling team, the swimming team, the rowing team, the taekwondo team, and the women's boxing. Now, how many golds did the UK, did Team GB win during those London 2012 Olympics? Now, what he did was he took some incredibly scientific principles, and because he's a psychiatrist, not a psychologist, he decided he was going to make them usable. He decided that he was going to form some very, very simple principles that were going to get us to actually start working more effectively with our emotions, get us working more effectively so that our logical human consciousness could overcome any of those incoming fears. Because you think of the stressors, the incoming stress that Team GB was under during those Olympics, the ultimate stress of having to be the best, of having to push yourself beyond your human limits. Now, the model that he used, he has written in a book since, literally the mind management model, which is the simplest and most beautiful thing that you could possibly ever read. So I absolutely recommend that you read this book. It's the chimp paradox. Now, his very simple way of putting it has helped millions of people since Team GB to become much more conscious and aware of when we're having an emotional response. Now, it appears they take the same system. Now, once again, we have the limbic system, but the limbic system he described as your inner chimp. Your inner chimp is pure emotion. Incoming activator, the chimp will respond, and it'll be in a purely survival mode, trying to keep you safe. An emotional response that will do everything it can to protect you from any danger. The second part of Dr. Peters' model is the human. So the second part is, once again, it's the cerebral cortex and the frontal lobes, which is all to do with reasoning. It's all to do with problem solving. Now, if you can form a really perfect relationship between your human and your chimp, and that your human can reason with your chimp so that your chimp doesn't get out of control, that is what the whole principle of his mind model is all about. The chimp is 5 times stronger than your human and responds 5 times faster than your human brain. Both of them have the capability to program the third part of the brain, which Steve Peters called your inner computer. Now, if your computer is mainly programmed by an unhappy chimp, then you're always going to find that you have unhappy responses or difficult responses or anxious responses to incoming stimulus. But if it's your human that has mainly programmed your computer, it's going to be far more logical. It's going to be far more capable and organized. It's going to be responses that you deal with things in a rational and organized manner. Now, they can work together. Your chimp is an emotional machine. Your chimp works completely independently to the rest of you. Now, It's not bad, it's not good, it's just a chimp. And it can become your enemy as much as it can become your ally. And that's where the choice starts. The choice starts with your human actually being able to work harmoniously with your emotional self, and to start to program and reprogram your computer in a much more rational, capable, and calm manner. So taking that model one step further, this is the model of human consciousness. This is the whole of human consciousness. Now, the part here, right above the horizon, that's only 10%. Now, that is your word brain. That is your human part of your brain, your logical problem-solving word brain, when everything can be worked through, can be sorted out, and it's all the way you talk to yourself as well. Now, what do we get in the other 90% if only 10% of it is your rational consciousness? Well, first of all, I call this subconsciousness, I call it your treasure house of images, because this is the domain that thinks and that feels everything. It's your storage system. So not only is your chimp has its domain, because it's all of your emotional responses, absolutely everything you've ever felt, it's a program as well. It's where your self-concept is based, and whether your self-concept is based upon either very, very emotional responses or very, very rational, conscious behavior, it's up to you, and it's how you've been programmed by all of the circumstances that you've had throughout your life. When you consider what is kept in that subconscious 90%, how many voices can you recognize when they're on the radio or you hear someone speaking? You recognize them and you immediately put the face to that voice. How many faces from everyone that you've ever met, you've got some recognition face, and you can sometimes even think that person really reminds me of that person. Because every single face, every single tune you've heard, every lyric that you can sing along with, everything that you've ever had is in that 90%. And it's the domain of your emotions and your pictures and your feelings and every single memory you've ever had. So, bearing in mind that we have either our chimp or our human, have you ever listened to the voices in your head? We have a bright side voice, which is filled with hope, filled with optimism, filled with what we can do in the future. If I do this, then I'll make this happen. And then that will be brilliant because I'll be able to do this. But we also have a dark side voice. Now, that dark side voice is mainly to do with keeping you safe. If your bright side voice is saying, if we do this, then that'll happen, and your dark side voice will say, what makes you think that'll work? What if you fail? What if you look stupid? What if everyone laughs at you? Don't do it, don't do it. Now, if your bright side voice has been programmed by a really happy chimp, a really contented and calm chimp, it's going to always want to make those plans of the future. It's going to make my perception of my future bright. It's going to make my perception of my future something that I really am looking forward to. But if it's your dark side that's been programmed by an anxious chimp, an unhappy chimp, a chimp that really just wants to protect you and doesn't like the way things are going in your life, that's going to be almost like self-sabotage. Your inner chimp and your dark side voice will talk you out of doing anything so that you end up doing nothing. Now, the thing is, you can choose whether your chimp is your ally or your enemy, and you can choose how you speak to yourself just by becoming aware of those voices in your head. Everything that you speak to yourself, it's up to you to choose which one you listen to. And if your dark side is dominant, then it will always keep you in an anxious state. If your bright side is dominant, you'll be able to deal with any incoming stress. Your perception will be bright, rather than a perception that is all to do with survival and basically not doing anything that's going to put you in any danger. So the way we talk to ourselves is very much to do with the choices that we make. Now, if we look here, all of the choices that you make, think of the first choice that you ever make every single day. Do I get out of bed or do I just put the alarm on snooze? But you're making a choice. Every single incoming activator, you'll make a choice whether you do A or B, whether you do something, do nothing. Now, those choices that you make start to program your self-talk. Now, your self-talk is that bright side and that dark side, having those conversations. Now, if your bright side is dominant, your self-talk will be positive. You'll be looking at what you can do with your day. You'll be looking at how you can go about things. When you come across a problem, you'll be able to sensibly talk yourself through it and work through it. And you'll be keeping on soothing that chimp. If it's dark side talk and your chimp is an anxious and easily upset chimp, your self-talk is going to be something very, very different. You're going to be telling yourself not to bother. What's the point? And if all of your thought processes become unhelpful thinking styles, it then becomes a habit, because your self-talk becomes your self-concept, i.e. who I think I am. And who I think I am becomes my character, which then becomes my life. So if my choices are dark side choices and emotional, overwhelming chimp choices, my self-talk is going to be distorted and my self-concept will think I can't do it. So just looking at those distorted thoughts, if your choices and your self-talk are all distorted and unhelpful, then you're going to find things very, very difficult, and your chimp will be easily activated, and any incoming stimulus is going to have a response that is difficult. Just looking at a few of those unhelpful thinking styles. First of all, we have the filter. You have appraisal. You're told 6 or 7 really great things about your performance, about how you're doing, about how your studies are going. And then one thing that says you've got to pay a lot more attention to this, this, and this. You filter out all of the good if you've got a dark side voice that's dominant, and you will only focus on the bad. And that will then cause untold problems. We have mind reading. What other people are thinking of you. I better not do that because they might think this. I better not say that because I might look stupid. Just thinking what other people are thinking of you, because basically everybody is too busy thinking about what they think of themselves rather than what you think of them. We have all 2 and 2 equals 5. You have all of the right information, but somehow your distortion of reality, because your dark side is dominant, comes up with the wrong answer. We also have black and white thinking. I failed my driving test, therefore I'm a rubbish driver, therefore I'm never going to drive a car. I did that really badly, I really failed, I'm never doing it again. And of course, then we have the final and biggest unhelpful thinking style of all, which is what if? What if this happens? What if I fail? What if I look stupid? If you're talking to yourself in a negative manner, the power of negative thinking can absolutely overwhelm you and end up making you an incredibly anxious person with no way that you'll ever be able to keep calm and carry on. So looking at the 2 different ways, if you have an incoming stressor, and of course we all have those all the time, if you are in a negative state, a state that is listening to your over-emotional, over-anxious chimp, if you are having just purely negative emotional responses to any incoming stimulation, the brain will always produce stimulate 2 different areas. First of all, the pituitary gland will stimulate your ACTH, which I can't pronounce, so I'm just going to call it ACTH, which will then go and activate your adrenal glands, which are putting you in fight or flight mode. Once you're in fight or flight mode, your body will start to produce the negative chemicals. It'll start to produce cortisol, which keeps you in a complete situation of red alert, wondering what's going to happen next, or even worse, it will give you an adrenaline rush, which is the fight or flight response, which means that you cannot use your rational consciousness properly. We've all been in a situation where an incoming stressor has completely immobilized us. We don't know what to do. But at the same time as you're having the chemical reaction, you're also having an autonomic nervous system reaction. So all of your nerve endings are working, and it can work in one of two ways. Now, if you're going to let this overwhelm you, you're going to let your chemical brain overwhelm you, your autonomic nervous system will activate your sympathetic nervous system, which is all about fight or flight. It's all getting you ready to run away. It's keeping you on absolute red alert. You're in a responsive and difficult place, just in case things get worse. But this is where the choice comes in. If you could actually activate your parasympathetic nervous system instead, which is what helps you relax, it helps you remain to keep calm. It helps you, it's all to do with the relaxation and being able to feed yourself and to replenish yourself and to actually rebuild any repair any damage. But this is where choice comes in, and I'm going to show you how to use these choices. Power of negative thinking, we've already seen exactly what that can do. But if you can actually start to activate your parasympathetic nervous system and start to make more sense of what the incoming stimulus is and change your perception of how it's going to affect you, then that is the power of positive thinking. This is a very good quote. The fact that if you're living in the moment and you're dealing with incoming stimulus as of now, then you're not going to allow all of the memories of the past, all of that stuff that's going on in your 90% to colour your present. And then it will help you also not allowing your past and past memories of things to actually colour your future. Because if you're living in now and choosing how you respond, you're going to find that you can actually manage to keep calm and carry on. Because it's only either your memory of the past or your imagination of the future that you're activating. So what are these? These are measurements of thoughts. These are your brainwave patterns. Now, I'm not going to be talking about either theta or delta state because that is when you're in deep sleep and REM sleep. But I want to talk about the kind of brainwaves when you're in beta state and when you're in alpha state. So, once again, back to our model of human consciousness, we have our 10% up here, we have our treasure house of images here, and if you're in beta state, all of your thought waves are very, very tight. They're all in your conscious area, in the 10% area. It's all to do with the way you're speaking to yourself, and it's keeping you in a tight reactive state, the type where you grit your teeth, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, and you're literally just firefighting. Now, that's a conscious state that a lot of us are in a lot of the time. But I want to talk to you now about alpha state. Alpha state brainwaves are completely different. Alpha state brainwaves can change your perception of incoming stimulus at will. So, if beta state is here, it's very, very tight, very, very fast brainwaves, then alpha state is much slower and much deeper. And it's going into the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And it's that point when you're in alpha state that you can think more clearly. Because you're dipping down into your subconsciousness, you are being able to use your emotions more correctly. You're being able to perceive your incoming stimulus in a far more logical and rational way. Beta state is like driving in London. Your beta state where you're absolutely reactive, you're constantly on the lookout for any form of danger. Whereas alpha state is like driving on a lovely country road, a piece of road you know and love well, but you've got the radio on, you've got your tunes up loud, and you're singing along with them, and all is well in your world. So the difference between alpha state and beta state is immense. Now, I would like to show you a method of how to go from beta state into alpha state at will. And it's all to do with your vagus nerve. Now, we all have one of these fantastic nerve systems within our body. And these, the nerves that run all the way down your spinal column, they actually spread out and encompass the whole of your brain. And as the nerves go right the way down your spinal column, they spread out and they actually encircle, form a net around all of your vital organs. Now, this is all to do with your parasympathetic nervous system. If you have an incoming stimulus that is difficult, if you can learn to massage your vagus nerve by breathing, you'll start to think more clearly, you'll be able to reassess, and then you'll be able to act. And it all starts with massaging the vagus nerve by breathing deeply. If you breathe deeply, that will lower your blood pressure. It will lower your heart rate. It will absolutely oxygenate the whole of your, every extremity will be oxygenated because your blood is carrying oxygen to those extremities. And it will make everything clear so that you can think clearly, you can reassess, and you can act. I'm going to show you how to use this. Alpha state visualization. Now, diaphragm breathing and massaging your vagus nerve. Now, I'd like you to put your hands on your diaphragm, which is just above your waist. I'd like you to take a deep breath in and out. In and out. In and out. Right, that was 3 breaths. Put your arms down by your side and just feel the sensation in your fingertips. Feel the sensation in your toes. Now, because you have actually oxygenated your blood by using all of your lung, rather than just the top 5th of your lung that you normally utilize, then you have put maximum oxygen into your system. You should be able to feel a little tingling in your fingertips, like a little fizzing of oxygen molecules, right the way down to your toes. Your hands would have felt heavier. Now, that's because the muscles have started to relax. And you have had a very relaxed response in just 3 breaths. So I'd like to take you through an alpha state visualization. We're going to do some deep breathing. We are going to do some relaxation. And then I'm going to take you through a visualization that you can utilize at any time you wish to remain absolutely calm. This is going to take just a few minutes. And when you decide that you're having an incoming stimulus that is causing you to have a response to the incoming stressor that isn't the way you want it to be, you'll be able to take yourself away. You'll be able to do some breathing, relaxation, and this visualization, and you'll be able to feel completely calm, and you'll be able to carry on. We've all been to a beach like this. We all know somewhere that is beautiful, powdery white sand. Absolutely still, beautiful, turquoise blue sea, and an absolutely cloudless sky. So this is where we're going to be going. Right, I'd like you to make yourself comfortable, and then I'd like you to close your eyes. Closing your eyes, take a deep breath in and out. In and out. Breathing in and out. And with every breath in, you're feeling more relaxed than the last. Breathing in and out. Feeling your heart rate slowing. Feeling your muscles relaxing. Feeling yourself calm and warm and comfortable as you breathe in and out. Concentrate on the muscles in your feet and your calves and your thighs. As you breathe out, let any tension flood downwards and outwards, down through the soles of your feet and into the floor. Concentrating next on the muscles in your torso, your lower belly, your lower back, your abdomen, your chest, the muscles on either side of your spine. And as you breathe out, let all of those muscles relax, letting any tension flood downwards and outwards, down through the soles of your feet and into the floor. Concentrating now on the muscles in your neck, your shoulders. You might want to roll your shoulders and roll your neck to just release any tension. Also taking into consideration the muscles at the base of your skull, right up over your forehead, your cheeks, your chin. Let all of those last moments of tension flood downwards and outwards, down through the soles of your feet and into the floor. Breathing in and out. Feeling calm, relaxed, and comfortable. You find yourself standing on a beach. You're not wearing very many clothes. Your feet are bare. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, and it's looking as if it's promising to be another beautiful day. You can feel a gentle breeze just blowing across your skin, blowing your hair. And as you wriggle your toes, you can feel the crunchy, beautiful, powdery sand just coming up through your toes. If you take a deep breath in, you can smell the vegetation behind you, the great flowering shrubs, the smell of the earth. And you can also smell that beautiful smell of the sea, the ozone salt in the atmosphere. And you can smell the smell of your skin, that beautiful warm smell of skin when it's hot. You will decide to walk down the beach. You walk down to the water's edge. And as you feel that first rush of cold water, as it just laps over your feet, you look out to the horizon. The sea isn't just blue, it's swirls of turquoise, swirls of green, swirls of deepest purple, and it gets darker as it reaches the horizon. Little glints of sunlight just fleck the surface of the water, which is as still as a mill pond. You decide to walk along the beach, just on the water's edge where the firm sand is beneath your feet. And you see just in front of you a beautiful sun lounger. You see the sun lounger, which is swirls of beautiful colour, turquoise, flamingo pink, golden and green. As you walk towards it, you see there's a parasol and there's a table with your favourite drink on it. You sit down and you feel the sun lounger as it takes your weight, and you swing your legs up, lie back, and the sunlight is hidden from your eyes by the parasol. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. You can feel the beautiful breeze keeping you cool. And this is your place of absolute calm. This is your place of bliss. This is your place you can come to whenever you wish, when you feel yourself winding up, when you want to remain calm, because this is your beach. This is your sun lounger. This is your place of beauty, your place of absolute peace and harmony and joy. And you can come here whenever you wish. And just as you feel that final feeling, knowing that this is your place of calm, you can open your eyes and you find yourself sitting back in the chair you're in. A place you can always go to? I think so. A place that you know that you can always feel that beautiful sense of alpha state, knowing that it will help you to perceive any incoming stimulus in a far, far greater way, a far better way, knowing that you can absolutely keep calm and carry on. A few very simple techniques to change your perception of your world, to change what you see as an incoming stimulus from something that's dangerous and something that's going to be awful, starting to see it for what it really is, something that you can deal with, something that if you keep calm, you'll be able to be absolutely in charge of the situation. You'll be able to do whichever you wish. Any questions?
Wow, thank you, Susie. That was absolutely fascinating and very calming, I must admit. We do have a few questions coming through the live Q&A. So if you're happy, I'll get started to answer those, ask you those.
Please do.
So The first question we have is from Graham, who has asked, is there any effective way to stay focused for long periods, as I suffer from PTSD and have tried different things to no avail?
PTSD is it's a very specialist area. And obviously, if Graham has tried various methods, because it generally speaking takes medication, and it takes going to see a consultant of some sort to actually do the talking cure. But the whole essence of PTSD, if you can manage to use your breathing, just the technique I've just shown you, it might be that you need to take up some form of meditation, Graham, or it might mean that, maybe yoga might help you. But anything that is you can use to still to soothe your chimp and to keep going, keep calm and carry on. Hope that was helpful.
Thank you, Susie. Felix is asking, other than the Peters book, do you recommend anything that addresses the issues that you talk about?
There are endless books, a lot of feel-good books, but I do suggest that you start with the chimp paradox, because the chimp paradox just makes everything so much simpler. If you can start using those methods, I can probably put together a reading list, which I can maybe talk to you about, Gemma. Put together a reading list of all of the different books, but there are a lot of self-help books out there, but I do think that the clearest and the most usable is Steve Peters' book.
Yep, we can certainly circulate that reading list for you. Thank you, Susie. Tom is asking, does gender influence self-concept?
Well, there is a very different chimp, a male chimp and a female chimp. So yes, there is going to be a difference in your emotional responses because of your chimp. The female chimp is very much to do with nurturing and the fierce mama that comes out when they feel that anyone is in danger. But no, really, you can have somebody who is just as anxious as a male as a female. It literally depends on your conditioning. It depends on how you speak to yourself. But no, really, I speak to as many coachees that are male as female. And yeah, I don't think there's any difference at all.
So I'm really sorry, but we are out of time now, Susie. But thank you once again for such a fascinating presentation. And thank you to everyone who's joined us today. It really is great to see so many of you.